My name is Hadley Norcross, and I'm 32 years old. Competence doesn't clap. It hums. The dishwasher nudging into off-peak at 12:01, the budget spreadsheet snapping shut with every cell reconciled, the calendar block called Hard Conversations, repeating on the second Tuesday so small problems don't metastasize into family catastrophes. I like ballast. No one praises ballast until the boat lists. In my family, I'm the designated adult, the one who gets the 11 p.m. Can you pick me up? Call. The one who shows up with moving straps and the good dolly, the one who co-signs when dreams outrun income. You don't apply for that role. You just grow into it while everyone else grows out of it. My younger brother, Ryan, 29, charming, impulsive, the kind of handsome that makes mistakes look like plot twists. His fiancé, Cynthia, is his perfect foil. Curated, charismatic, permanently camera ready. I never fully warmed to her. She had a way of complimenting you that felt like a diagnosis. It's amazing how stable you are, she'd say, smiling with her teeth, not her eyes. I learned to nod and change the subject. 3 months ago, Ryan and Cynthia found it. A sleek, modern new build, all glass angles and aspirational landscaping, in a neighborhood that treated starter homes like folklore. Their combined income didn't quite stretch to the mortgage, predictably. That was when Ryan took me to coffee and asked for the biggest favor of my life. Had, he said, using the nickname from middle school, I need you to be the guarantor. Just a formality. We can cover it. The bank just needs comfort. Comfort. As if comfort were a line item. I told him I needed to think. Then I did what competent people do when their hearts try to sign with their hands. I paid a lawyer a few $100s to look over the paperwork. He said the bank's docs were standard. Then he gave me advice I didn't know I'd been waiting to hear. When you mix family with large sums of money, he said, create a separate personal agreement. Not to be dramatic, just to be clear. He drafted a clean one-page document. 2 key points. If they ever defaulted and I had to pay, I'd have the option to assume their equity for what I'd put in. A clause he called the CYA special, cover your ass. My guarantee was contingent on a relationship of mutual respect and good faith, and any defamation or malicious falsehood would be grounds for immediate withdrawal. At the time, it felt like overkill dressed as paperwork, but clarity is a kindness you give yourself in advance. I presented it to Ryan. He barely glanced. Of course, Had. Good faith is a given. We're family. We signed in front of a notary. I filed it in a folder labeled House, R&C. The bank approved. Ryan and Cynthia were euphoric, spinning phone videos of countertops like they were diamonds. Fast forward to a family barbecue last weekend. I was parceling out potato salad and boundaries when Cynthia drifted over, maybe a little buzzed. Definitely too close. She put warm fingers on my forearm. You're always so serious, she said, voice pitched for spectators. You should learn to have fun. Classic Cynthia. Patronizing wrapped in playfulness. I stepped away, mumbled something about needing a drink, and let the wind carry it off. I didn't give it a second thought. 2 days later, my phone lit up like an ambulance. A novel-length text from Ryan, simmering with certainty. He said Cynthia had broken down. Said I'd been making her uncomfortable for months. Said I'd cornered her at the barbecue and whispered she was too good for him. That she should be with a real man who could provide. It was so specific it could only be a lie. I called. No answer. Called again. Straight to voicemail. Then the final message arrived, blunt as a slammed door. Stay away from us. Something quiet moved through me, the kind of calm you get when you finally name the thing hiding under the bed. It wasn't rage. It was clarity. Cynthia didn't want distance. She wanted me erased, but she still wanted my credit score. I sat with it for a long time. The spreadsheet hum in my head synced with my pulse. Then I picked up the phone and called the mortgage advisor. I was polite. Due to a significant and unforeseen personal conflict, I said, I'm formally withdrawing my name as guarantor for Ryan Norcross and Cynthia Hale. A stunned inhale on the other end. Ms. Norcross, I have to inform you, this will almost certainly result in denial of the entire application. I understand, I said, and I did. Please proceed. I hung up. Then I blocked both their numbers. Then I tried to sleep. The quiet that followed had edges. Update, unasked for, arrived in a fist on my front door 3 nights later. 10 p.m. Through the peephole, Ryan, unshaven, eyes like cracked glass, I opened the door and let the silence do the introductions. "What did you do?" he said, pushing past me into the living room. "Exactly what you told me," I said, closing the door. "I'm staying away." "The bank called." His voice climbed in a panic. "The loan's denied. They said you pulled out. You torpedoed the whole thing. Why?" I stared at him. The lack of self-awareness was almost art. "Are you serious, Ryan? You accused me of trying to steal your fiancé, then told me to get out of your life. You can't connect those dots to a six-figure guarantee?" "That was personal stuff," he said, pacing. "Sin was upset. She's sensitive. Maybe she overreacted. You don't ruin someone's future over a fight." "A fight is who forgot to mow Dad's lawn," I said, keeping my voice level. "This was character assassination, and you co-signed it without a question." His phone buzzed. Cynthia flashed on the screen. Her tiny, frantic voice bled through the speaker. "Is she fixing it? Tell her she has to call them. Make her fix it." Ryan's face hardened, borrowing her anger like a jacket. He hung up. "You have to call the bank," he said, low, commanding. "Tell them it was a mistake, an emotional reaction. Fix it." "No." The word hung there, neat and irrefutable. "What do you mean, no?" he sputtered. "I mean, no. I'm not a light switch. You don't get to flip me from monster to mortgage because it's convenient. This is me staying away from your finances, from your lies." For a heartbeat, I saw the kid who used to slip me the last slice of pizza. Then the look vanished, replaced by the man Cynthia was manufacturing. "So you're going to let our dream die out of spite?" "Your dream became my liability," I said. "You set it on fire. I walked out of the smoke." He left without another word. My mother called the next morning right on schedule, grief braided with expectation. "He's devastated, Hadley. Families are supposed to work through things." "Families are supposed to tell the truth," I didn't say. The only part I did not fully anticipate was the toll on Landon, my boyfriend, my steady place. He was furious on my behalf, but he also had to field the questions from mutual friends who'd heard Cynthia's version and wondered if he was safe with me. My clean, logical action had created a very real, very messy, emotional sprawl. Competence hums. Fallout howls. The quiet didn't last. It never does. The morning after Ryan's visit arrived gray and airless, like the apartment was holding its breath with me. I made coffee I barely tasted and sent an email to myself with the subject line, "Keep your own records." Inside, I typed 3 bullet points, bank call date/time, Ryan's stay away text, the notarized side agreement, and attached nothing. It was a ritual more than a task, a breadcrumb trail for future me, in case present me lost the map. By noon, the family group chat erupted. My mother posted a photo of a fern and wrote, "Peace, everyone." Then she called. Then my father called. I let the first calls go to voicemail, then answered the third, because I'm still me. "Hadley," my mother said, sorrow smoothed into diplomacy. "This escalation. You know how your brother is. He gets wound up. You're the steady one. Can't you change reality?" I said, softer than it reads. "Mom, he told me to stay away. I complied." A pause. "He's devastated. He and Cynthia, they're young." 29 is not a pre-existing condition, I said, but there was no victory in it. I won't put my credit under people who will slander me to protect a fantasy. When I hung up, the hum inside me faltered. A good decision still drags loss behind it. Landon came by after lunch with ginger tea, and the way he looks at me like I'm not a burden to carry, but a choice he keeps making. He leaned in my doorway, scanning my face. "How are you doing?" he asked. "Like I swallowed a stone," I said. "I know it's the right stone." He kissed my forehead. "Then let it sit. Your body will get stronger around it." By evening, the whispers were loud enough to hear with the windows closed. People talk when a house goes up in smoke. Mutual friends texted Landon, "Is Hadley okay? We heard she's intense, controlling, obsessed with their finances. Did she try to break them up?" He showed me 2 texts, then stopped showing me the rest. He didn't want the poison to have more doors. At 10 p.m., Ryan posted a black square Instagram story with white text. "Some people can't stand to see you happy. Protect your peace." A minute later, Cynthia uploaded a carousel, a photo of a sunlit kitchen island. "Your energy is what makes a home." A quote about toxic relatives and a selfie with shiny tears. The caption read, "Hurt people hurt people. We're choosing love." The comments gushed. Heart emojis multiplied like spores. I closed the app before it could rewire my shame. 2 days later, a certified letter arrived from a law firm with a name that sounded expensive. The envelope felt heavier than paper should, as if it held a small planet of dread. Inside, on thick letterhead, a threat in paragraph form. If I did not immediately reinstate my guarantee, they would pursue legal action for tortious interference with the builder's contract and emotional damages. I read it standing at the kitchen counter. Then I read it at the table. Then I read it in my car, where the silence was so complete it felt padded. For 1 irrational hour, I entertained surrender. I could call the bank and backtrack. I could be the ballast that disappears when the boat steadies. I could make this stop. Landon found me like that, hands flat on the steering wheel, eyes hot and dry from not blinking. He opened the passenger door and sat without talking. Finally, he took the letter, scanned the highlights, and leaned back with a soft exhale that sounded like a laugh if it weren't so tired. "They're bluffing," he said. "Lawyers don't bluff," I said, reciting my fear as if it were law. "People do," he said. "They pay lawyers to wrap the bluff in Latin. Did they tell their lawyer the whole story?" The question rearranged the furniture in my head. Of course they hadn't. You don't hand your attorney the knife and say, "By the way, it's mine." I felt my breath deepen for the first time that day. We went upstairs. I pulled out the house, R&C folder, the one with the clean, notarized rectangle of reassurance. Mutual respect and good faith, no defamation or malicious falsehood, immediate withdrawal permitted. I scanned it at high resolution, angle corrected, edges sharp. Then I scrolled to Ryan's text. "Stay away from us." Date, timestamp, his name in the header. I screenshotted it and circled the details in red like I was grading a paper. I didn't send it to the law firm. I am not required to audition my boundaries. Instead, I drafted a short email to my parents, the subject line plain as a gavel, the full story. In the body, I wrote, "Mom, Dad, you've been asking why I withdrew as guarantor. Attached is a signed agreement Ryan and I executed with a mutual respect good faith clause allowing immediate withdrawal in case of defamation or malicious falsehood. Also attached is Ryan's text instructing me to stay away." He broke our agreement before I called the bank. "I didn't do this from spite. I did it to protect myself. I'm sorry you're in the middle, H." I attached the scans. I hovered over send long enough to count my heartbeats. Then I clicked. The email left a vacuum that made the room louder. The silence lasted 48 hours, during which Cynthia accelerated her campaign. Screenshots found me, her friends tweeting obliquely about women who prey on other women's relationships, a Facebook post from a cousin. Family can be the most dangerous kind of thief. My phone was a parade of other people's certainty. I turned it face down and learned the shape of my ceiling in the dark. On the third night, my father called. He doesn't waste words. He builds houses with them. "I got your email," he said. His voice sounded heavier than angry. "Your mother and I read the attachments." I waited. "Why didn't Ryan tell us he signed something like that?" "Because he probably forgot," I said, honest to a fault. "And because he knows it proves he was wrong." A long breath, like a door opening. "He's coming over tonight," my father said. "We're going to talk." After we hung up, I carried every dish in my sink to the counter and washed them one at a time. The repetitive motion soothed the frantic animal in my chest. Landon dried without being asked. We didn't speak. We counted the shape of the waiting between us. My mother texted at 9:14 p.m. "We're with him now." At 9:56, giving him time to read. At 10:23, we asked questions. At 10:31, he's quiet. At 10:47, my phone stayed still. I tried to read the lack of vibration like tea leaves. Landon took my hand and squeezed, grounding me to the room, to the sink, to the life that was still here even if other parts were burning. At 11:18, my father called again. I answered so fast I said hello twice. "He admitted it," he said. 4 words that loosened something I hadn't noticed was clenched in the back of my throat. He said the idea was Cynthia's, to create space. She felt you were too controlling with the money. He thought you'd be mad, there'd be a blow-up, and then it would settle. He never imagined you'd actually pull the plug. The plug. It always sounds cruel when you say the quiet part aloud, that I refuse to be used. "What now?" I asked, because endings are a kind of beginning, and I didn't know how to write the next scene. "They've lost the house," my father said, "and the deposit. Your mother." He trailed off. I could hear the small chaos of a kitchen, a chair scraping, someone blowing their nose. She told Cynthia that what she did was unforgivable. I've never heard your mother say that before. My chest hurt in a way that felt like grief wearing a proud mask. Are you okay? I asked, because being right never insulated anyone from pain. I'm angry, he said. At myself, mostly. I wanted it to be a misunderstanding, but the paper was plain. Plain, like a stop sign, like a boundary. We said goodnight. I didn't sleep so much as drift along the edge of it. In the morning, my mother called, with a voice that had cried and then decided not to again. The legal threats are gone, she said. For now. For now is enough, I said. By afternoon, the stories on social pivoted from righteousness to silence. Cynthia's posts slowed. When she did appear, her eyes were swollen in a way she could not edit. Ryan didn't post at all. Word filtered through relatives like radio in a storm. They were still together, but their apartment felt smaller, the air inside crowded with blame. I didn't celebrate. Relief is not the same as joy. I made dinner with Landon, burned the first pancake, made another. He slid a plate in front of me. You did the hard thing, he said. It doesn't make you hard. After we ate, I opened the house, RNC folder, one last time and added a new page, a printout of my email to my parents, date stamped. I wrote across the top in neat block letters, when they tell you who they are, believe yourself. The phone buzzed once on the counter, face down. I didn't look. I stood at the window and watched the city lights flicker like 1,000 tiny decisions made and unmade in the same minute. Behind me, the hum of the dishwasher started right on schedule. 2 weeks passed. The house that never was dissolved into family folklore, retold at varying volumes. My parents stopped speaking about the situation in public, but I could see the fatigue in every text, ellipses, half-thoughts, diplomacy trying to stand on a fractured floor. Cynthia's social feeds went dark, then flickered back with the brittle brightness of damage control, inspirational quotes, gym selfies, captions about rising above negativity. Ryan reappeared in group photos from smaller gatherings, his smile performing penance. Whenever I scrolled too long, I had to remind myself, I chose silence. That was the contract now. Landon caught me doing it one night, the light of my phone turning my face the color of regret. You don't have to autopsy it, he said gently. You already know what killed it. I just keep thinking, I said, how fast the lie spread, and how slow the truth feels in comparison. Truth's heavier, he said. It moves like water, not fire. I wanted to believe him. The next weekend, my mother invited me over for Sunday dinner. Just us, she said. No surprises. The table was quieter than usual, only the sound of silverware and mercy. My father poured wine, hesitated, and finally said, He's trying to figure out what's left. I nodded. What's left is accountability. He knows that, my mother said softly. He just doesn't know how to wear it yet. When I left that night, she hugged me longer than she ever had, her fingers pressing a rhythm against my back, a thank you or a goodbye to something unnamed. The following Tuesday, a courier dropped an envelope at my door. No return address. Inside, a handwritten letter in Ryan's rushed penmanship. Hadley, I know it's late for sorry. I told myself I was protecting my relationship, but I was just protecting my comfort. You were right to pull out. Cynthia said things that weren't true, and I let her because it was easier than confronting her. I've lost the house, and probably more than that. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I finally read what I signed. R. The letter shook slightly in my hands, not from sentimentality, but from the recognition that apology doesn't rewind anything. It just stops the bleeding. I folded it once, placed it in the house, RNC folder, and wrote on the margin, acknowledged. That night, Landon and I sat on the balcony, city air warm and damp. He poured 2 glasses of cheap wine, the kind that stains honesty purple. Do you miss him? He asked. Every day, I said, but not the version that exists right now. You think you'll ever talk again? Maybe, I said, if the conversation is about truth, not nostalgia. We clinked glasses softly. Below us, a car alarm stuttered into the distance. In the weeks that followed, the family rebalanced in awkward ways. Some cousins stayed loyal to Cynthia's narrative, unwilling to revise their gossip mid-season. Others reached out quietly, testing the edges of reconciliation with cautious texts. We didn't know everything, or, you don't owe us explanations. I answered selectively, politely, never bitterly. I had learned that dignity was a kind of armor you can actually sleep in. Thanksgiving came like an exam no one studied for. Ryan wasn't there, neither was Cynthia. My mother cooked too much food, as if abundance could camouflage absence. Midway through dinner, my father raised his glass and said, "To peace, however incomplete." It was the closest we'd come to ceremony. After dessert, I helped with dishes while the others drifted into the living room. My mother stood beside me at the sink. "You know," she said, eyes on the running water, "for years I thought being a good parent meant keeping everyone together. Now I think it means teaching them how to be apart without hating each other." I swallowed hard. "You did that, Mom." She shook her head. "You did." When I got home, the apartment was quiet except for the low hum of the fridge, the same steady rhythm that's carried me through every unraveling. I checked my phone before bed. One new text from an unknown number. "I know it's not enough, but I am sorry for everything. Ryan again." The same words from the letter, now condensed into pixels, as if repetition could make it true. I stared at it for a long time, thumb hovering. I typed, "I hope you find peace." Deleted it. Typed, "Thank you for saying that." Deleted that too. Typed nothing. Set the phone down. Some contracts, once breached, can't be repaired. That was the legal truth, the moral truth, and the painful one. I closed my eyes and let the silence hum around me, steady, faithful, and entirely my own.